Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. This is the Paul Harrell program. We're really glad to be here. Good morning to everybody out there watching. Last week, the Trump administration, under the instruction of RFK Jr., dropped the vaccine schedule, the recommended vaccine schedule, from 70 to whopping 72 shots down to 11. And this is not set well with a lot of people who it just does not compute. They cannot imagine a world where the medical industrial complex was wrong. They can't imagine a world where for decades now we've been doing something wrong to our kids because they know that from a morality perspective that's an impossible thing to defend. So the only thing they can do to defend it is just act like RFK and the rest of us that are actually living under the consequences of all these mass vaccinations are just crazy and insane. And that's what happened on ABC's Sunday show, whatever it's called. Martha Raddatz questioning Bill Cassidy, who's on his way out. Now, you'll remember Bill Cassidy. It took a lot to get Bill Cassidy's vote for RFK Jr., right? And so now the left is like, you could have stopped this. Why, essentially, why did you vote for him? Did you really think he would do anything different? And so that we have that exchange for you. Also, new text messages implicating Anthony Fauci once again, essentially knowing that the vaccines were bad and dangerous for pregnant women, and then going on national television and telling specifically pregnant women that it's safe to take the vaccine. Also, a UK journal, so a British journal, is now retracting a study on the COVID shots, saying they cause mass deaths. We've got all of that and the tragic death of Hayden Panettiere. I'm pretty sure I just butchered how to say her last name. The tragic death, we're going to talk about that as well. Got a great show for you. Happy Monday. The show starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks. As always, we are up and running here, broadcasting live from the great state of Arkansas. I've got my co-host, Rob Spencer, in seat number 2, Eric in seat number 3. Rob, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm great this morning. Glad to be in studio for the full 2 hours straight through on LFA. We're honored to be with you guys. Glad to see everybody here. So we're also, again, joined by our good friend Eric Haynes today in studio. Really glad to have you, Eric.
Always great to be part of the conversation, my friends.
All right.
I know we've got a lot of topics today, Paul, so it's going to be interesting. We got to get to it. Obviously, tragic news about Panettiere.
Yeah, Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah. So anyway, very, very popular star, very young, of course, and so we'll talk about that and maybe what the implications of that could be. I mean, you know, she made some pretty serious allegations in an interview that came out. I know you're going to go over that.
Yep.
And and then tons of topics to get to today, all on the Paul Harrell program. We're glad to be with you.
Absolutely. So first segment for today is, again, what we just covered about what's going on with, you know, what happened last week with the vaccine schedule going from 72 to 11. It's just kind of crazy when you say that out loud. That's 72 to 11, but 72, it's just such a giant number. So we're going to start at the top of the show with healthy skepticism. All right, so we got this story over here from, what is this, Mediaite? Yeah, Mediaite. So let me see if I can get that a little bit better. Why did you think RFK would change? This is ABC News' Martha Raddatz. I'm sure this audience really is a big fan of hers.
Yeah. Only a handful of those apartments were taken over by Venezuelan gangs. That's where she's recently famous for.
Yeah. Do you hear yourself, Margaret? Yeah. that was a good meme cycle for sure. So here we go. ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent. Man, titles are cheap, right?
Well, and
Martha
I love
Raddatz.
it when they're the chief. They're not some lackey working behind the scenes here. They're the chief.
I think that honestly, you could psychoanalyze that whole thing just right there, because all of this operates from this understanding that because you've been given a title, you've been put in a position of authority, that somehow you're smarter than everybody else. I think that kind of encompasses this entire issue that we're having with the white coats, the new clergy of our day, that essentially can never be wrong. And anytime there's a story out there that suggests that the doctors are wrong or the medical industrial complex are wrong, or dare I say it's a even more broader conspiracy to actively deceive and kill millions of people. everybody gets triggered by that. Well, not everybody, but, So ABC News chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz grilled Senator Bill Cassidy.
Grilled him.
On his support for U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Quote, you ultimately voted for Secretary Kennedy. Let's actually listen to this clip and check it out.
Why did you think he would change? I'm curious about that. You voted for him. You knew what RFK had said for years about autism. What convinced you he would change?
There's a lot of parents who contacted me. I am a representative of people, so if I got 1,000 contacts over that period of time, 60 to 70% of them were from folks who believed in the need to address ultra-processed food. Also from people within the biotech industry, or people who were investors who said we need a shakeup at the FDA, and they thought there would be a positive shakeup. There was a lot of folks who were, again, either concerned about ultra-processed food, and in credit, this administration has brought attention to ultra-processed food as no other administration has. Still haven't done anything about it, but they've brought attention to it, and as well as people who felt that this could be a very positive development in getting things done. But the point is that when you're making the decision process, you're taking in everything at once, and you just make the best decision that presents at the time.
Okay, thanks, Senator.
Yeah, it's it's the left's mentality, and frankly, honestly, I have to say it. Sometimes it's Trump's mentality. You do one thing wrong that they consider to be wrong, right? And they're just going to just try to destroy you. The left will absolutely harp on one little thing. It's the straw man argument here. But what you're seeing with Martha Raddatz and the other leftist lunatics out there is that they're seeing such a huge shakeup that they have no alternative other than just completely throw shade at it. Folks, I'm not saying it's vaccines, but something has caused a massive rise in autism in the last 40, 50 years, okay? Now, it's not just testing. It's not just recognition. It's not just diagnosis. That is a big, huge part of it. But there is folks, most of the people, in the 1950s and 1960s that were maybe missing a chromosome or whatever the case may be, there was a definitive reason for it. I believe they called it mental retardation back then. That is not an acceptable term here today. But what you've got now are people that I can't go outside. I can't stand for someone to touch me, and it will send them into a rage. I am nonverbal. They're obviously if they're nonverbal, they're not saying that, but you get what I'm trying to say. There are these levels of autism. What is causing it? And Robert F. Kennedy has been saying it for the longest time. When you look at the rise in the number of vaccines that we've had, this vaccine schedule, and how you're giving them this freaking massive cocktail of these vaccines, something is causing it. And he's not saying you can't take these vaccines. All he's saying is, let's not make these sort of mandatory and inject things that are irrelevant to a newborn baby, such as the Hep B vaccine.
Yeah. And, and it also comes down to this idea that it is clearly environmental, right? I mean, you may be skeptical. I mean, I'm convinced it is the vaccines, but the idea that we just weren't noticing it, all of that can be easily debunked with just common sense. And I think we need to understand that, Cassidy here, when he talks about, the food dyes, this administration hasn't done anything about the processed foods. Actually, they have. And they have to such a degree that you have companies like Nestle now are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us. This headline, Nestle eliminates artificial dyes. This is from June 18th, so a little while ago. Nestle USA has now completely eliminated artificial dyes from its food and drink products. This is something that would not happen without the MAHA coalition. We also have this other story. Ironically enough, these are from ABC. M&M's Skittles Starburst debut versions without artificial dyes. So they have. I mean, so there are things that are happening here and taking place that are positive.
Yeah,
now,
he was. Not
I think some of that stuff needs to be just banned outright. I think there's more that can be done, obviously, but let's not forget. I mean, Bill Cassidy's on his way out. Bill Cassidy lost his primary. Bill Cassidy voted to impeach President Trump, as you rightly
what
noted.
A tool.
Yeah.
Well, and I just don't trust any man in his 60s that has hair that good. Okay? I just don't. And so
I wonder why.
You know,
I think there's something
to it.
Go with that.
I think there's something to it. Just look at the smug look on his face. You know, I know that's just the right before he's about to talk, but look at that smug look. He looks like a defeated man who doesn't know it, and so he's trying to like walk with some confidence here.
He looks like he just farted, Rob. Look at him.
We're all thinking it, Eric. But anyway, like what the hell do I care what this tool's got to say? He's on his way out for a reason. What you bringing on these people, Martha? You think this is going to be a ground-changing moment because he's got an R after his name? Who the hell cares? Who cares what this loser says? John Cornyn down there in Texas, he gets on there and he's just railing against everybody, right? He hates Ken Paxton still. What do I care what you have to say? I care that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been on a crusade for 50 years, and he is finally in a position where he's able to do something about it, and somebody is doing something about it. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Perish the thought.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, you said you were kind of laughing during Bill Cassidy's clip, and he's like, "Well, I represent people," you know, and I took their stuff.
It's a rare thing.
Martha's
to
like,
actually admit that.
Wait a minute, You're doing what your constituents want?
Yeah.
That's not...
Yeah, I got a bunch of phone calls told me to vote for the guy, so I voted for him.
It's like Vince Vaughn from
Wedding
Crashers. People helping people.
Yeah, people helping people. So... Well, I mean, again, these liberal lunatics are going to compete. Again, every time I hear a clip from Martha Raddatz, I keep going back to the ridiculousness of trying to defend not cracking down on immigration because only a handful of American apartment complexes were taken over by Venezuelan gangs. Like, why are you doing all of this stuff? Because, that's where their mentality is. It's, okay, let's just say you disagree with the vaccine schedule. Has Robert F. Kennedy done anything? Okay, why are we one of the most, with wealthiest country in the world? Why do we have one of the higher cancer rates? Okay, what's the difference between here and these other countries, such as Japan and all of this stuff? It's what's in your food, people. It's gotta be. There has to be something, to your point, that's environmental. I'm glad somebody's doing it. Is he right?
Yeah.
Heck, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But I'm sure glad that somebody's doing something.
Yeah, I mean, after that Venezuelan comment about the gangs taking over the apartment complexes, nobody would be shocked if Martha Raddatz was like, and we'll be right back. This segment was brought to you by Trende Aragua. And don't nobody go anywhere.
Yeah. And in Spanish.
Yeah, but I mean,
can't speak Spanish.
The truth is,
interview with J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it was.
And didn't J.D. say, Martha, do you hear yourself?
Yeah, Martha, do you hear yourself? Or frankly, I don't care.
Yeah,
he
I
got
don't
real
care
close to well, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Yeah. He was about to cuss right there on network television. Yeah.
He got real close there. But, the truth of the matter is, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure on ABC this week, their Sunday show, they had a big pharma ad at some point in the lineup. Like, we'll be right back, and then the next is like, hey, Pfizer, hey, get your Sky Rizzy and whatever.
Well, I don't...
Control is everything to me. To your point from last week or a couple weeks ago, Sky Rizzy is for Crohn's disease, not herpes. Indeed. I apologize.
Yeah,
I
had to be your accountability partner.
I was misinformed. Sorry to everybody out there with
Paul had
Crohn's disease.
Herpes on the brain.
Well, I just thought that I just think we're naming these things ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they are getting ridiculous. And all of those commercials are exactly the same. I couldn't do this, and it's always shows somebody struggling and all of this, and they figure it out, and it's almost always like depression medicine. Yeah,
But there's like Sky Rizzy could cause death and bleeding, and you could bleed out and die like Ebola. But consult your doctor before you.
But as Big Pharma is creating more and more record profits, guys, I think we're just being too hard on Big Pharma. They don't have a reason or an incentive to increase the number of vaccines, the ones that they paid for, that they're getting reimbursed. They didn't have an incentive for that. They're just trying to help children. Guys, it's not about money. We talked about it on Friday's show with all of the child mutilation surgeries and everything.
Yep.
I mean, it's big pharma, big medical, all of these things are money grabs, and it's just sorry Eric, because I know Eric's in the old medical field over there. It's to make this almighty dollar, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, our children are the ones who are suffering.
All right, so
Eric,
you got something? Eric?
You gonna sit over here and just laugh,
over?
or you just got something to say?
No, I that's an interest. It's tough that the industry, an industry that I have a lot of respect for, has developed that reputation for itself in a lot of ways, and needs to own it because of its actions. Now, to say, the other side of that is that, and some people may not want to hear this, but those companies also invest billions and billions of dollars.
I agree.
To come up with medications that save people's lives, that prevent people from having bad surgeries, and have changed history as far as people's ability to conveniently make major changes to their health. Side effects, profiles, all that stuff is definitely involved, and they are publicly traded companies that are indebted to their shareholders, trying to make them money. But if we just paint them into the corner as being all bad, always, all the time, we do miss out on the balance of that. We wouldn't have the advances in medicine that so many people rely on, that keeps them alive with their families a lot longer than they do. And by the way, this is not me being some stooge for the pharma industry.
I don't think you are at all. But something that it does dawn on me though. While that is true in terms of a balance, right? We're not going to sit here and say that everything that comes out of big pharma, every single thing, it doesn't help somebody or it's all bad for them. But there is a cascading failure of trust and so I don't know what they do to regain that trust. One of the things that you could do is arrest people for crimes when it's clear that crimes have been committed, like Anthony Fauci. I mean, that would go a long way, or the other doctors behind it. That would go a long way to do it. Because, I mean, ultimately, when you get right down to it, everybody goes to the doctor, and you either decide if you trust your personal physician, your primary care doctor, or you don't. But I know there's a lot of people that are not trusting their primary care doctor because they're wondering, well, who is in their ear? What pharma rep is in their ear? Yeah. I saw what you did during COVID. You haven't said you were wrong. You haven't admitted what happened or what we believe happened. So, and I think for the older generation, I think you're good. The boomer generation, I think they rely on their doctors, obviously, and they also, there's more trust there. But this younger up-and-coming generation, they're going to the doctor less, and it's because they don't trust what they're hearing.
Well, I agree with that, and I, Eric is always like, hey guys, it's not as black as white as you're making it out to be. There is some gray, and of course he's telling the truth. And when you want to talk about the cascading, the cascading of trust here, the dissension here, really, when we're seeing that, I mean, I think there was some of that going on for a long time because there were anti-vaxxers long before COVID. There were kids, going to school and without the measles and all of that.
That's true.
Stuff.
We decided not to, well before 2020.
Yeah, and so a lot of people made that decision, and I don't befault them for it. With the emergence of the internet, but there are a couple of things that do not help with that trust, and that is stuff like I go to an MRI clinic and I ask, hey, how much is this MRI going to cost? And was like, well, do you have insurance or not? Right. And there's two different prices. And you're just like, well, how much if I just pay? Well, if you have insurance, you have to use your insurance, right? They won't let you pay out of pocket. Well, let's just say I don't have insurance. Okay. It's $400 or whatever the case may be. All right. Well, if I've got insurance, like, oh yeah, it's $4,000, And there's this dance between pharma and insurance and all of this stuff, and so I don't really understand. I don't really understand that fully, and who's in control and all of that stuff. Ultimately, I guess insurance is in control because they're the ones that are deciding on whether they want to pay.
Yep.
But then what did we have? Trump that made an initiative here to make all of these hospitals post all of their prices, and you could start shopping around for this stuff. And that really was going to be great for private pay. Well, there were fights against that. Like, hey, we don't want to do that. We don't want to post it there. And I just find that so wrong, which is why I'm loving the emergence of these pharmacies that are $10 plus, or it's like, cost plus. So it's whatever the cost of it is, and we add $10, and that's the cost of the prescription. Mm-hmm. That's what, if we can get more of that and eliminate these middlemen, because the Medicare, the negotiator you've talked about on the show, the person that negotiates the price and stuff.
Is that the pharmacy benefit manager? Is that what that is?
PBMs.
Yeah. And then and you just wonder, like, okay, how much are you being incentivized here? Because why is this one pill costing $4,000?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get. I understand that anyway. I don't want to go off on all these rabbit trails, but I think that's where that level of distrust came in. Now, going back to what Robert F. Kennedy was doing. He's coming in and saying, I'm not beholden to anybody. Nobody is pulling my strings. I'm going to do, not just what he thinks, okay? He's been researching this for a long time, but he's also made connections with people that he trusts in the industry, and I believe that he's getting consultations from those people before he puts these out there. And, we're just seeing just a tremendous amount of kickback to it.
I think, and I want to get Eric's comment on this, but this is what I'll say. What you just laid out there just sounds incredibly complex, and I think it is. Insurance companies, hospitals, pharma, all of that. It's extremely complicated, very difficult to understand, and there's only a small group of people that truly understand it. And so in any system that's like that, the opportunity for corruption, organized corruption,
correct.
Some might call it organized crime, the opportunity for that to happen goes up exponentially when you have a very, very complicated system with a lot of money moving hands.
Well, Rob's message, or what Rob said about the dance, hit me, and he's spot on. It is a dance, and it's the wrong kind of dance with two people trying to lead wrong, and both people have two left feet.
Yes,
it is an absolutely broken system, and there's no debate there. I think we can pretty much all agree that the system itself is broken. We saw the brokenness of it during the Obamacare era. We saw the intense brokenness of it during the COVID era. And I'm not saying that it's going to get any better before it gets worse, because the system is driven by insurance. It's driven by money. I remember distinctly walking into a building in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, my first year in the pharmaceutical industry and research with GlaxoSmithKline. And I walked into this building, and this person leading the group and touring us around said, "See everyone, it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous building. This building was built by Zantac. This building was built by Tagament." Back in the early days,
like Zantac 75, like the antacid.
Antacids were originally prescription based, coming out of an era where everybody just went in and had their gallbladders ripped out, and had these big surgeries. Gastroenterologists were doing tons and tons of these surgeries. Once the PPIs, once those drugs came to market, the rates of those big surgeries and open incision surgeries shrank by like 80 or 90% over the course of a few years. But back to my point, you walk into these buildings in a lot of these pharmaceutical giants' home offices, and they'll be the first to tell you, like, the big heydays of these blockbuster drugs built these buildings that you were standing in and that we're having these big meetings in, and this is just the way it is. And to be a blockbuster drug, you have to make $2 billion. That's what is considered in the industry a blockbuster drug. And there's a lot of them out there because a lot of people depend on these drugs, and they're expensive. And insurance is the biggest part of that. And you've seen insurance exposed as being the biggest part of the problem because Trump has come in and said, hey, there's no reason patients should be paying this for this exact pill in the United States of America, and in Europe it costs 0.001% of that. That doesn't make any sense at all. And
they're using the wealth of the United States to really pay them back for that, and they're making their profits elsewhere.
100%.
Well,
so to your point, it was so good. Is that it's a dance, and it's a bad It's a really bad dance by people that have no business being on the dance floor. Or they're on the dance floor with the wrong partners, and they're doing it wrong, and they're obnoxious and making fools of themselves on the dance floor. They all look like Elaine Bennis, basically.
Oh yeah.
It's basically the Seinfeld episode where the healthcare system is like, hey, you want to kick things off? All right, here we go.
It's just terrible.
Everybody knows it, but her.
It's a really bad dance.
Yeah, I think, we're.
At its core, I have to say, are some well-intentioned people and a lot of really good physicians and healthcare providers, nurses, pharmacists, to some degree, and anesthesia folks and people that are trying to do a good job of providing good healthcare, but the game is messed up.
I think they've got to figure out a way where we have hospitals, not here locally, but we have hospitals in the United States that are charging $100 for a Tylenol.
Yep.
Because they can get this reimbursed, and that's just asinine.
I got to get Dr. Keith on the show from the Oklahoma Surgery Center because we had an interview scheduled with him, and then I had a bunch of stuff that went down, and we had to cancel it. It's personal stuff that was going on, and we didn't have to get it recorded. We haven't been able to get it rescheduled. But if you want to know somebody that's been doing this for a decade now, like groundbreaking, go check out the Oklahoma Surgery Center because they list their prices on the internet, and they have for years now. And it's pretty wild what they're able to do with their model. So.
I was going to say just a couple of our comments because we've been great in our comments here. People just telling about their experiences. LJ. Jodo, sorry. Some of these names are hard to whatever, but every time I go to the doctor, she wants to give me another prescription. I accept them. I just don't fill them. And how many people are doing that?
A lot of people do it just because they don't want to even fight with their doctor.
Or they can't afford it. Or they cannot even afford that medication because there's not a generic version of it yet, or your insurance won't cover it and all of that stuff. So this one's Kit Kat Mar. We had a great local surgeon who specialized in breast cancer and saved so many lives, never caved to the masses. The FBI investigated her during COVID-19. She was older, died a bit later. Odd that she died. You start wondering too how much is the government behind the scenes pulling the strings on some of this stuff. But I believe that there are ultimately what I believe her point is, there's some great doctors out there that don't buy into this, that don't want to have 15 houses and a house in Malibu and all of that. But unfortunately the system gets this wholly bad rep, and some of it's earned.
All right, next up, it's time for Pandemic Paper Trail. All right, Pandemic Paper Trail. We've got new revelations. It's, kind of just more of what we heard last week, but Senator Ron Johnson released even more text with Dr. Fauci exposing that a high-ranking vaccine official said first trimester pregnant women were told to avoid COVID vaccination in initial studies due to possible fever and higher rates of miscarriage in the first trimester. Dr. John Maskala, then the director of Vaccine Research Center at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, wrote to Fauci, quote, I am corrected on pregnancy studies. Initial studies avoid vaccination in first trimester due to possible fever and high rates of miscarriage in the first trimester. Johnson says even more messages expose the adverse events were being ignored. Haul all of them before Congress. No. Thanks Eric Daugherty for the summer. No. Throw them all in jail. Open an investigation and throw them all in jail right now because we have Todd Blanche is telling us, okay, he's gotten the thing from Fauci, the criminal referral
from the committee, and we're handling that case like as every American should expect, which is we're looking at it and we're going to do everything we can. If it needs an investigation and it should be investigated, we will absolutely do that. We can't obviously comment. I know you're not asking me to on ongoing investigations, but yes, we did get the referral from the Senate.
All right, so they got the referral, but I'm sorry, that response to me, I was just in my mind, I'm like. That's what was going on in my head.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm trying to get. I haven't seen anything from Todd Blanche yet that makes me nervous or makes me feel like he's not going to do something like old, Barbie Pam.
We'll see. I'm not. I don't know. Look, they should have never dropped the whole autopin investigation, selling pardons, and that sort of thing, because that's at the heart of this. And and ultimately, I don't think because of that, because they say we're not going to try to go invalidate the pardons by proving them to be fraudulent, I think the only way people like Fauci and others go to jail is if state attorneys general go after them.
Sure.
Which is something that might happen. But this is what we're talking about. Listen to this. Look, in January 25th of 2021, this is the email that we just read between Dr. John Mascala and Dr. Anthony Fauci, right? So he knows what's going on, and yet this is what
you're talking 2 weeks later?
2 weeks later, Anthony Fauci.
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say, and this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
How is that right there not criminal?
Yep, murderer.
How is that not criminal?
Murderer. I point at him and I'm sorry. Murderer.
Tell me we're wrong.
Accessory to murder. I mean, it's just, but murder's got to be in there somewhere. Manslaughter, something. Premeditated manslaughter, is that a thing? I don't know.
Reckless. I feel like
reckless.
Something.
But point is, to my previous point about cascading failure.
Yeah.
As long as that right there, as long as he and the people that he's protecting are allowed to walk free, good luck getting any of the trust back with the with my generation and younger. I put us Gen X and younger, me being a millennial. Good luck with that. Because unless you see accountability, and honestly, to your point, I'm not going to sit here and say there's not. I think that actually can hurt people's health in the long run by being that, for lack of a better term, allergic to the medical industrial complex. You trust people that, if you want us to trust you, you have to deliver results, but you also have to police your own. You have to, and that's until that happens, until we see some actual arrest and jail time.
And if you wondered, if you ever forget, because this has been 5 years ago now, if you ever find yourself like, it wasn't so bad, revisionist history, all of that stuff. If you forget truly how manipulated and mind warped, especially the left were, and it's because of, in their defense, what was happening on the bottom of that screen there. Fauci going on television every single day.
Yep, telling
them this is safe, shutting it down. Everybody trust Fauci. Thank you, Fauci. And even from his personal memoirs here, or from his diary.
His self-confessed diary. He called it a diary himself.
Dude loved the attention. He was like, I'm as popular as such and such. I saw a street interview. We should have pulled it from this guy who was going around, and he goes, all right, was this quote from Donald Trump or from Anthony Fauci? And he was basically just reading out of Fauci's diary. And, of course, all the leftists were like, oh, that was Trump. That was Trump. Actually, that was Anthony Fauci on such and such date or whatever. It was epic. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't send it to you. But regardless.
It's kind of funny, actually, when you think about it.
So he loved the fame. And if he goes out here and says that what he was saying in those emails, what would that have done? It would have, number one, given people pause to think.
People would have stopped on the left and right, would have stopped taking the vaccine.
They would have stopped and thought about it and said, okay, wait a minute. Why is it killing pregnant? Why is it causing
pregnant hospital nurses would have been able to say, I don't have to take the vaccine now because Anthony Fauci says it's not safe.
But you were not allowed to talk out. We've spoken about this on the show, and that was one of the biggest and most frustrating things is that you weren't allowed to speak out. Your entire platform would be shut down. You were ostracized. Heck, even in our own communities, there were conversations happening on Facebook between friends, long-term friends, and there were people, it was like a civil war. People were on both sides of it. And if you were skeptic whatsoever, you were seen as the outcast. You were seen as the crazy person. How dare you? What do you mean? You don't trust the science. Okay? That's what was happening. And Dr. Fauci is 100% to blame for that because he was the most trusted man here in the United States during the pandemic. Everybody loved him. He was getting to speak every day, even with Trump. And this lying piece of trash, 2 weeks prior to going on television saying these things are so safe and there's no red flags, was having email discussions about the red flags.
Yeah.
Criminal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like it's kind of the worst. It's like the worst thing you could do, actually. This headline, though, from Zero Hedge, I saw this right before we came on the air. British Medical Journal retracts paper linking COVID shots to millions of excess deaths. A peer-reviewed study documenting millions of excess deaths across the West after the rollout of COVID measures and shots has been yanked by the British Medical Journal, not for bad data, this says, but for the crime of asking inconvenient questions. The BMJ Public Health Journal has formally retracted a 2024 paper that tracked more than 3 million excess deaths in 47 Western countries between 2020 and 2022. The study, which used official Our World in Data figures, noted the excess mortality remains stubbornly high even after containment measures and mass vaccination. Its authors called for proper investigation into the causes. The retraction notice cited, quote, misinformation in the discussion regarding the possible causes of excess mortality and claimed the limited original work by the authors was not sufficiently described. An institutional probe by the Princess Maxima Center, where 3 of the 4 authors worked, found no fabrication, falsification, or malicious intent. It still complained the paper gave, quote, disproportionate attention, end quote, to the possibility that containment measures and vaccination might have contributed. This really goes really well with our first segment between Raditz and Cassidy, just in terms of you're trying to break into that bubble.
Yeah.
And these people are human beings, many of them not Christians, and that means that they never want to admit that they're wrong. Never want to admit that they've missed the mark. Never want to admit that and in many of these people's cases, they have their own personal conscience they're looking out for, because if they do admit they're wrong, how many people, by their own recommendation or prescription, have they harmed? I've said from the beginning that if it ever comes out, as just common dinner table discussion, some of these doctors may be so upset with themselves that they'll be on suicide watch. And I don't mean that, I'm not saying that lightly, but I mean, if it really is that bad, people are going to push back as much as they can because of the implication.
That would take a level of self-reflection that I think a lot of people are lacking, unfortunately. Yeah. That would take, to your point, are you willing to admit that you're wrong? I have this conversation all of the time with my 15-year-old son. He's never done anything wrong, ever, in his mind, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I tell him, I'm just like, son, let me talk about it through relationships. Do you know the quickest way to take someone's fire out, especially if it's someone you care about, such as someone you're dating, or your mother? Okay, you want to get to the end of that argument as quickly as possible. Listen to what they're saying, number one, and then say, you know what, you're right. I didn't think about it from that perspective. I'm sorry. And I said, son, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't come to that realization for a few years in my marriage. Okay, took me a while. Once I figured out the secret sauce, mind you, but the reason is because someone is upset with you, and in this case, when we're arguing and friendships were lost, and how many families are still broken up from 2016, and if you came out and supported Trump, it's just outrageous. I saw a video the other day. This crazy ass woman was like following a person that had a Make America Great shirt on. This woman was walking into her doctor's office, and a crazy liberal was trying to stop her, so much so that they were having the staff was having to threaten to call the police on this, and she was trying to, I just want you to think about the implications of that shirt and what it means to you. And this woman's like, you're crazy, get away from me, I don't want to talk to you, go away, leave me alone. And I'm like, that liberal woman wanted to think, she in her mind, that she had a chance to make a difference there and convert someone. Is that where their mentality is? No. That we have a difference of opinion. With COVID, we had a difference of opinion because you weren't allowed to do research at that point. Again, going back to what I was saying, it was shut down. And people just got in fights. You're idiots. I had a very good friend, doctor of mine. Like, he's a doctor and he's a friend. It was and he left Facebook. He was like off Facebook for about 6 to 8 months because he was tired of all the fighting. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that kind of stuff was happening. There's no critical thought. It is follow the leader. Follow the leader, and whatever they say, and they say we're the ones that are in a cult.
We kind of deserve the flock camera, at least the flock term. After what happened in 2020,
you need a fan, but
you know what I mean. Like, we proved that we are sheep, or at least a lot of us.
Sure did.
A lot of us are. All right, now we're moving on now to this news this morning. I mean, I woke up to this. I'm sure many of you guys did as well. We normally don't cover this type of story, but there's a wrinkle to it that I think does make it relevant. TMZ reporting that Scream actress Hayden Panettiere is dead at 36. She was found in her South Carolina home. Emergency medical service workers responded to the call that came in from a person. She was in cardiac arrest, unresponsive female. Law enforcement sources sources confirm police responded to an incident involving Hayden Sunday. And I think there's a statement. Hayden passed away earlier on Sunday. We're told she and her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, flew from Los Angeles to the South on Saturday. And then here it is. It is with profound sadness that we share the tragic passing of our beloved Hayden. She was an incredible light, force of nature who brought immeasurable love and joy to all who knew her and to the millions who watched her on screen. So I think I remember her from like the Acne commercials, but she was apparently a big star in this Heroes show and then Nashville. I never watched either of those. Who? What do you mean?
You talking about her? Hayden?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and
you don't remember the Titans.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I know.
She was fantastic.
I know her from Remember of the Titans when she was
little sweet, cute little curly-haired little girl. Yeah,
that's what I that's what I know her most for is Remember the Titans. The reason I find this interesting is because I guess about 3 months ago she went on a podcast and she talked about how Hollywood destroyed her mentally and I think this is what made her turn to or what she says made her turn to substance abuse and that sort of thing. She went on this podcast and talked about a pretty harrowing experience for an 18-year-old girl on a yacht, being forced into a very uncomfortable position with an unnamed person that apparently she says is extremely famous. Listen to this.
I was 18, even though I'd lived such a huge life, and I thought I was so mature at 18. Scientifically, her frontal lobes don't develop until we're, 26, 25, 26. So even though I felt like I could make healthy decisions, safe decisions, I wasn't capable of being fully aware of what was going on around me. And it wasn't until I found myself in predicaments that I realized my perspective completely shifted, and I realized that I was in danger. But by the time I'd realized I was in danger, I was quite literally out to sea. And
so she's on a yacht.
It was that that moment shook me and was shocking, and I was quite literally walked down, and I had been having a great time. There was no hints of anything like that happening, so it took me. I was shocked. It took me by surprise, and it was led by somebody that I had grown to trust and see as a protector and somebody who had my back. And to be walked down the stairs, and it was as like a surprise, presented as though it was like a surprise, and it was this very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous and had his hands like this, like this was just, you know, an average day for him. This is something that happens all the time. And I waited for her to leave, and I mean, that lion in me, that fire in me, that my hair stood on end, and I became ferocious. I was like, this is not happening. But I had nowhere to hide, and I bolted, and I hid wherever I could think of to hide on a boat. There was no jumping off and swimming away, and there was nobody who was going to, I realized that there was nobody who was going to be empathetic to my situation, that this was nothing new to them.
I mean, you know.
So that is, you know, typical of what we're now hearing out of Hollywood. She has a trusted friend who's a woman that I'm going to go ahead and call her handler, that put her in this situation. She doesn't name who the very famous man is that was ready for her in the bed, but clearly I think this is, you know, she says, look, looks like something that seemed routine to him,
right,
and probably routine to the handler that she trusted. And then she has to hide on a boat until they get back to port because she's afraid for her life. And so a couple of things crossed my mind. Obviously, the conspiracy aspect of all of this are already saying, hey, look, we think her death is somehow related to this confession, of this speaking out of the truth, basically the human trafficking, sex trafficking nature of Hollywood, and how sex is a commodity and that sort of thing. Obviously, we don't have any evidence of that.
Well, I mean, would this have been in the Harvey Weinstein? I mean, a lot of people in our chats were, because she's 36, and this happened when she was 18, so it was 18 years ago. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know how long ago he was still prowling.
So the zenith. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that back then it was the zenith of Harvey Weinstein's casting couch career. You know,
so it could have been him, but it's also like Corey Feldman has been, you know, as much as people like to make fun of his music and stuff, you know, he's been coming out for years and talking about how he was molested as a boy in the industry. Multiple people molested him. And so that sort of, I mean, so it wasn't all Weinstein. It wasn't all Bill Cosby, right? You know, it was there's one of
those Corey guys, because one of them's alive and the other one's dead, right?
Yeah, drug overdose.
One of those Corey guys, I'm pretty sure, claimed that there was some really bad stuff that happened between him and Charlie Sheen, like in between the trailers or something, like between takes or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say this, that Corey Feldman came out and without naming a whole lot of names and said, he's like, it's people that you all know, like it's. You know, there's some behind-the-scenes people, but there's a lot of celebrities, and they just take advantage of kids. And it was men molesting boys in the industry. It's just, you know, just completely disgusting stuff. And so I know that's when you don't have morals, when you're in a godless industry, when you don't have any sort of guiding light in your principles, it's going to be really, really easy to get naked in front of a this 18-year-old girl, and where she feels compelled to oblige because you're a powerful person.
Yeah.
I mean, how many girls said yes and just jumped into that bed? You know, how many? And it's hooray for her for fighting against that. But she talks about how that created a lot of demons throughout her life, and she's struggled with addiction. I think it'll probably come out, unless there's sources of foul play here. I think it'll probably come out that she maybe had some sort of drug overdose, or whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah,
I think that's just me. I have no base. I mean, other than just as she's talked about.
We don't. Yeah, right.
She's just talked about mental health issues in the past as well as drug issues.
I'll say this though: if you're the guy, because we don't know who the guy was, that was in the bed. But whoever that famous guy is, you're waking up this morning, and let's say you had nothing to do with her death, right? You're waking up this morning and being like, man, everybody's going to think that I had something to do. or there's a lot of people that's going to be like,
sure,
I had something to do with this. So that's, and who knows? Who knows? Here's a lady that speaks out. I mean, you can't help in this day and age. It's not like this is the only time that's happened. Yeah. You had Virginia Guthrie, who committed suicide, and she had all the goods on Epstein and Prince Andrew and all of that stuff, right? And she wound up dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, she wound up dead after saying several times, hey, I'm not suicidal. I'm happy I survived the human trafficking and everything else. And so this will get put in that pattern of abuse victims, specifically sex abuse victims that get, that come to the microphone, they speak out, and then they disappear, they die, and whatever. I mean, this is going to get lumped into that category.
And someone brought up in our comments, and I did confirm it, that she has a 12-year-old daughter. I knew she had a child. I didn't know if she had multiple children.
Yeah,
she has a 12-year-old daughter.
It's tragic.
That's already a tough. I mean, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and it's a weird age, and so you're going through so many emotions as a 12-year-old girl, and then oh, by the way, you've now lost your mother. I can't imagine.
Yeah, me neither.
Awful, tragic stuff, guys. Mental health, that's something that continues and needs to be addressed in this country. I think that we're doing a lot, but at a certain point, if it's not about just giving them a pill, I would say as a Christian that there's great peace that comes from your faith and depending on the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But if you're not a religious person, where do you turn to? And all of a sudden, I grew up with a mother who locked herself in a dark room. She really struggled with depression. She's good now. She's, medication is really good. But, now, she didn't pull herself out of it. I'll give Big Pharma a little bit of credit for that with her medication. But at the same time, she did the things that are conducive to increasing it by blacking out her windows. She put the aluminum foil over her bedroom windows so that it would stay dark, and she just laid in bed all day, every day. And my dad finally got tired of it, and he divorced her, and her life changed. But I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that mental health is something that has to continue to be at the forefront of all of this. And I mean, I would say that there's a whole entire political party that could use some intervention here.
Yes, you are 100% right about that.
This is just sad, man. That sweet little 10-year-old girl from Remember the Titans, one of our favorite family movies. We watch it every year. My son plays football, and it's kind of one of those preseason motivating things that we always do together as a family. But you just look at her. She was 10 years old when they filmed that movie. What she went through at age 18 there with that story that she just gave, and then to see her on that couch talking about it at age 35 or 36, like you could hear it in her voice. Like, and I've heard voices like that many times before in healthcare, and like that is a heavily medicated voice. That is somebody that has been numbing the pain for a very long time, and there is no life in that voice.
I agree.
That was a very, very. The part of that was not just the story of it, but it was just her verbalizing it. You could hear the years of having to medicate herself through the pain of that experience. And that was not the same little girl from 10-year-old on Remember the Titans. That's, to me, is incredibly tragic, is that you can just hear that as she's speaking there, and you're just like, that is a woman that has been through a lot, and you can hear it in her voice.
And I know it's not everybody, but this is one of the reasons why, like, I tell my little girl, like, hey, you may like this person in this TV show or whatever, but you do not want to go to that industry. You do not ever want to esteem yourself like, oh, I want to be famous like that person. No, because of what all comes. You have no idea. I mean, the horror stories about the shows, the actors, what happened to the actors that we watched growing up on Nickelodeon. all those Dan Schneider shows and what he was doing to Britney Spears' sister.
All the Mickey Mouse Club stuff.
Yeah,
all the
man.
Ron Perlman stuff. You look back at the documentaries that are coming out now about the boy bands and how they came together, the girl bands from back then, and all this stuff. It was just Sodom and freaking Gomorrah.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And what a lot of these celebrities do when they're looking around, they're in Los Angeles, they're looking around and they're just like, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah,
like Matthew McConaughey moved back to Texas. Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory, if you'll remember, he played Leonard in Leonard, Sheldon's roommate in The Big Bang Theory. He was also on Roseanne back in the day. He was Darlene's boyfriend. If you know what I'm talking about.
Now I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, anyway, he after The Big Bang Theory just left Hollywood, and he's now like a carpenter in Indiana or something like that. And he'll make some appearances very rarely and stuff, but he's over it, man. He made millions and millions of dollars. He's going to continue to make millions of dollars in syndication from The Big Bang Theory, and he's like, I'm not going to live in Los Angeles. I'm not going to be a part of this craziness. I'm going to go back and have a simple life and raise my children.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not everybody does that, and we see tragedies such as what we see today.
I've been out there before. A few years ago, my brother and I took a trip. We try to take a trip when we can, just to go out somewhere that we haven't been before. And man, we picked L.A. and flew out there for a few days. And two Arkansas kids walking around Ventura and Sepulveda and some of those streets, Sunset. It is shocking what folks out there live through with and see every day. You're in the absolute mecca and heart of the porn industry, in the anything goes industry. The weather out there is incredible, so every kind of ilk and whatever can just thrive and survive there on the streets and dope up and crap where they want and shoot up and just do all these incredibly horrible things. That is just it's a petri dish of gross.
Yeah, and what are you doing here when you're, let's just say that you're in the industry and it's not going really well, like you're on your downturn. It's not hard for these, and we're seeing them every day, that these ladies turn to OnlyFans, because it's like, well, you know what? Can't beat them, join them, right? And I'm going to show my hoo-ha here for some money on the internet. And there's this great podcast, but Andrew Wilson is a part of it, the guy that just debated
Whatever.
Yeah, it's called the Whatever Podcast, and so I love it. I've never really listened to a whole podcast, but I always catch all these clips and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the clips are everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
and they're wild.
There'll be this woman here sitting and saying, hey, I'm a high-value woman. I make millions of dollars a year and all of this stuff. And the host was like, yeah, but I could pay $10 and see your butthole. Like, I don't know how much high value you have if that's where we are. Okay.
And they do not like being confronted with that.
No.
I mean, but you're trying to break through this, I don't know, this force field of money. You're just trying to. You actually are doing the oldest profession in human history. You're a prostitute.
Sure.
And it's really weird that we're in a society now where prostitutes aren't just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
These prostitutes on OnlyFans are making millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. You have, like, out there, what's crazy too is you have the absolute bottom of the barrel, and then you have the top echelon of fame and fortune, and everything in between. So you have, situations like this where you have these, $1 billion yachts and all this Sodom and Gomorrah going on these, and then you have people on the streets doing tricks for $5, and it's and then everything in between, and it's the worst of desperation, and it's all for money.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the most expensive and insanely expensive places to live in the world.
Sure.
And it's right there, and everything revolves around the need for money and what people will do for money.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that industry. What will you do for money?
Well,
and will you eventually be kicked out of the bottom of the barrel on your effort to climb up to, the Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt level, and then get spit out in the bottom of the porn industry at some point. But it's like the top and the bottom.
I know we're at the bottom of the hour, but I'll just say, to Eric's point, there is a girl that passes gas on video, and people pay for this. That's all it is. That's all it. She's just passing gas. And so she talks it like she watched this video about how she has to eat things that make her extra gassy and all that. And I'm like, I can't imagine what her parents think. As a parent, I can't imagine what her parents think. And it's just a sad state of affairs.
And to y'all's point a while ago, there's nothing that centers them. There's no moral compass that shows them what due north is. So there is no gray area for them. It's just a what do we do for money, and how will we pay this bill, and what am I willing to do for it to be able to be able
and
to
we wonder why
it.
our society.
There's no like, how would God feel about this?
Exactly.
I mean, is there something that I feel? Do I have anything on my shoulder telling me this may not be right for me to be doing morally, ethically? There's no boundaries.
Yeah, people need Jesus. Individuals need Jesus.
100%.
Just in general, our country needs that, and we wonder why. We're not unified on so many things that we used to be unified on.
Yeah.
And the very fabric of our society is coming apart in terms of just basic male-female gender roles. I mean, we're so sexually debased, generally speaking, and it's everywhere. And now we can't even agree on what a man or a woman is. It really is a exercise in the slippery slope.
Well, it's all kith and kin to each other here, and we see it in politics too. Kristen Sinema, the reports came out that she was screwing her bodyguard.
Yep.
While a married man,
yeah.
and she's not in Congress anymore. But had she been, like, this wouldn't have even come out if she was still in Congress, right? Because they're keeping all the secrets.
Yep.
They got all of it. They got it in a lockbox.
Yep. There's a new report. We'll cover that when we come back. There's actually a new report out this morning about Eric Swalwell and how the FBI knew about his
everybody knew
Chinese
that dude was a creep
affairs and stuff. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to
Great
reset though.
So far.
Yes, sir. We're going to be back. We got one more hour here to go on the show this morning. This is the Paul Harrell program. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or Red 5 works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So if folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be. And we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about a year and a half ago. And it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. As always, we're broadcasting here live from the state of Arkansas, here on Live from America TV, also Paul Harrell Program YouTube channel. Really do appreciate it. You guys know we can't do the program without you watching every single day. And I'm here back with Rob Spencer and Eric Haynes.
Hey, we're glad to be still on LFA. Normally this second hour airs in the second, like in the afternoon. So if you are tuning in, saying, hey, where's Sean? You may be really late to the game there that Sean has.
May not have been watching for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So he's moved on to the, with Bongino, kind of, I guess, what you would call moving on up. And so we're for now, and as far as we know, hopefully for good, we're staying in this time slot for the next 2 hours. So give us a chance. If you've never seen us before, we talk about everything, and there's a lot of banter back and forth because there's usually multiple people in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so we're here for the next hour, and then we'll be handing it off to Jeremy Harrell and his show Live from America. So real quick, we're going to start this hour off right with a new segment. Well, it's not new. It's just a different – anyway, it's time for Fourth Amendment Funeral. All right, so we've got a series of memes that I think are fantastic. You see this one on your screen here. I've got a few of these that are coming out. George Washington with a what is that, a Sawzall? Is that what they
it's a Sawzall.
And gonna tear down the flock camera. So that's the first thing there. Then we get another one, which this is my favorite. You guys remember the iconic scene with Mel Gibson in The Patriot? Aim small, miss small. Yeah. Lord, help me be fast and accurate.
This is incredible.
This is incredible. Going in. This is people.
Everybody rips on AI, but there's some good things.
There's some good stuff. But here it is. So a Florida man over the weekend was caught just casually walking off with a full surveillance flock camera. He didn't use a saw or nothing. And and people are really funny because the security guards here don't really know what to do.
Well,
oh, okay. I thought you wanted to say something.
No.
So you see him here, and
I love that is he carrying an American flag?
In an American flag.
Oh my!
He just got the whole thing. It's like I'm taking this. This is mine now.
He's carrying his cross. Sorry, that was sacrilegious. I didn't mean that like that.
You could tell
the security. It just looks like that guy.
The intrusive thoughts. I get it. They won out. They won out there, but it's fine.
The security guards, they don't really want a part of this because they're not running over there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're just like, oh,
and
damn
he knows
it, Johnny.
If he takes off. Look, there he goes back.
You just wonder, it's like he turns it into a joust.
Yeah.
Just starts charging. They better be lucky he didn't just start charging them.
Listen,
security.
Awesome. What do we do, John? I don't know. This was not in our training that we took because we didn't expect someone to just steal the camera.
Look at this guy. This is great. I think you're going to see more of this. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this is true or not.
I love it.
But I did see some post that said that there is a movement now to make Halloween, October 31st this year, National Destroy Flock Cameras Day. Because everybody, no. I'm not saying that I endorse this. I'm not saying for people to go out and do it.
Alrighty.
I'm saying there may be a planned, coordinated protest in the form of destroying flock cameras on Halloween because people are saying, well, look, everybody's out there already. There's people wearing masks, trick or treating, and so there's opportunity there for some people that are willing to take matters in their own hands. Is what I'm hearing people say. That may, in fact...
No. What I'm hearing you say,
Paul, what are you hearing me say? What are you hearing me say?
Tonight, we ride. That's what I heard you say.
Well, I for legal purposes, did not say that. So this guy's name is, I haven't even...
Oh, that's weird. I just got a text from Paul that says, hey, get your ice hockey mask. So you can be Jason, I'll be Freddy.
Yeah.
And we'll go get some flocks.
Yeah, and that chainsaw, we're going to put that chainsaw to good use. That chainsaw, man. We need one of those blades that can cut some metal, but we're going to put it to good use.
A wild story tonight where it appears nearly 20,000 people...
Listen to that guy's pipes. A wild story tonight.
A wild story tonight where it appears nearly 20,000 people have vouched for the whereabouts of a man accused of destroying flock cameras in West Virginia. Thousands of people have publicly said they were with or saw 20-year-old Wesley Jackson during the time he was accused of the crime, with comments such as, couldn't be him. He was helping me replace the roof on a homeless shelter. And I saw him serving at a soup kitchen at the time of the incident. He has pleaded not guilty to...
This is thing, man.
These are great.
This is thing. Now, is this so that was on August 5th. What would this one is... this is August 16th. So
all these people giving him an alibi.
It's not the same guy. This is a different guy. There's so many people out there now that are doing this. And again, this is an encouraging white pill moment because I think that the whole AI data center flock camera thing is something that crosses the the political dividing lines that we're supposed to stay. We're supposed to stay in our lanes, and I think to some extent the elites want us to stay in our lanes. But populist agendas, populist ideas like this, I think still people on the left and the right, generally speaking, not all, they believe they believe they have the right to be left alone.
Yeah.
And that is a very American concept. Privacy is a very American middle-class concept. And it stands out versus the rest of the world, especially among first world nations at this point. And you're going to see more of this. And I saw it at a hearing. I mean, it was like an organized hearing over the weekend, and I did not pull the clip, where they were saying, I don't know how we're going to get to an agreement until your CEO is tried for treason. or is hung for treason. It's what this one and it was like in a committee room. I don't even know what the context was exactly, but it was some sort of formal hearing about the situation. So people are mad about this.
Yeah, they are, and I'll just say here locally, I've got a good friend who is a police officer, or he was a police officer. He's an instructor now, and I'll tell you this: he's a conservative, but He just asked this question because there was comments about the flock cameras, right, on our local news station here. And he said, how is this any different than the First Amendment auditors that are filming police? Okay. And I typed out a response, but I didn't click send.
Oh.
Okay. Because I just said, I understand where he's coming from. He's coming from it with a police officer mentality, not a citizen. But what is the Fourth Amendment? What is the First Amendment? What are all the amendments? They are protections for citizens against its government. Okay? Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizures. Okay? Why do we have that? It is to protect us from oppressive government. It's to hold the government in check.
We assumed, because of human nature, we needed these amendments because we assumed that at some point, some government official somewhere would try to take our freedom.
And how many attempts have been stopped because of those amendments? We've seen it countless times. How many? That's what the whole Supreme Court does now, judicial review. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say, and I just said, because you don't have the same rights that we have. You are the government. Now, you as a citizen have those rights, but in your official capacity as a government official, when you have police departments that are putting these up, and they're like, well, it's in plain view. That's not what these flock cameras are necessarily doing. They are scanning your vehicle. Mm-hmm. And I can just tell you this. I asked Grok, I said, given the advancements in what we see at, say, an airport, and how you can walk through and it scans your whole body, okay? You put your bag there on the conveyor belt, and I don't know if you've ever seen the screen. They can look at everything that's in your bag, right? Yep. You have some pleasure toys or whatever. They're going to be seen, okay? Going through there.
Well, Eric, I know you're laughing at that because it seems like I don't think Rob is speaking from personal experience.
No, I don't have any.
But
I was just thinking about the beeping and Rob going through the line going,
well, they're
why is it black?
There's a trend where people prank their friends.
Yes,
okay.
And that's was my thought.
They get a device, like a device that used to be affectionately thrown on WNBA courts. Remember last year those green sex toys that were being chunked on the courts to make fun
Paul
of them?
calls them devices. Rob calls them pleasure palaces or what?
Whatever.
Pleasure toys.
You said something about you did.
I don't even remember, guys.
You said
what
something
I said.
about pleasure.
It was about pleasure.
Yeah, that was what set me off.
I didn't bring up your deodorant or something like that.
What's in your suitcase, bro?
What I was trying to think of is something that's nothing. No,
sorry, sir.
Yeah. Please believe me. Please believe me.
It's not
I've been
mine.
set up. I've been set up.
Full Austin Powers.
It's double-ended. It's double-ended.
It's not my bag, baby.
So, but I was trying to think of something embarrassing that you wouldn't want scanned, right?
Right.
Well, and so I asked Grok, is it possible? Is it too far of a leap to think that with the advancements in the AI and the advancements in all of this stuff that they could make these flock cameras, or are they already capable of this, of scanning the inside of your vehicle? Now, if you're looking for a kidnapper and they've got a body in the back of the truck or they've got a live person in the back of their trunk, then hey, that's a great thing. But I mean, how rare is that compared to I'm scanning that person's vehicle and I'm going to see if they've got a cooler full of beer back there. Okay, they're going to have this invasive right.
Yeah, well, with 6G, I mean, President Trump said it the other day. Now we're going to 6G, and he said that 6G will have the ability to scan your biometrics like a tricorder from Star Trek is the only thing I can think of, where they'll literally be. And so you put one of those on a flock camera, then they'll theoretically, the technology could exist in our lifetime, be driving down the road, get scanned, and the government knows what your blood pressure is.
Oh, sure.
Do you think the pushback to this technology is a losing battle, though? Because to Rob's point just a minute ago about how well, sir or ma'am, if that was your 12-year-old son or daughter that was abducted at that gas station, wouldn't you like to see that, be able to see that vehicle?
That's
and
what they'll do. That's what
be
they're
able
gonna
to
do.
track it all the way to where we're able to take down that kidnapper and get your child back. Like, are we fighting a losing battle here? Because that will always be the argument that they'll fall back on. What do you guys think?
But I would put it in the same window as the extreme cases of where they're talking about rape or incest when they're trying to defend abortion, right? 98.3% of abortions are not that.
You're saying that it's a similar tactic to get.
You're using this. Listen, I would love it. For that moment, I would absolutely love it if someone were able to snatch my kids. I would love it, the ability to get them. But I mean, I think that we've already got some things like red light cameras. We've got people have Ring doorbells where you're able to secure all of this stuff. And I think maybe Ring video doorbells were sort of the entry into some of this stuff.
They were. I know people that got them and then they took them down because Ring was wanting to do like a gunshot, like. If a gunshot goes off, we'll be able to know exactly where it is based on how I guess depleted the sound is for this Ring doorbell. This Ring doorbell, we'll be able to pinpoint it.
I just spent $200 over the weekend on a dash cam for my vehicle so that I would have front and back visualization of my vehicle, and it's not it's only for security reasons so that I can defend myself if somebody does something insane, or if I can catch something and say, officer, if you want to come to my vehicle, I'll show you exactly what happened. You don't have to rely on this person that doesn't have insurance to tell you that it's not their fault, kind of a thing.
Here.
I feel like we're always having these conversations where we're rationalizing our behavior or we're rationalizing what we're willing to accept because it's like, well, but... If it's my kid at that gas, I want him caught. I want that car.
Of course,
I want that car followed. So it's one of those things where are we going to win this battle against the flocks?
Let me tell you what's going to happen, and I don't mean to be cynical, but I got a phone call from a guy the other day, and there are people now trying to fund conversations about how do we get Congress to care about this and about AI in general. All right, flock cameras, all of it, privacy. And what they're pushing is guardrails, right? Oh, we need guardrails. We need guardrails. And I was even talking about it with, Tim Loggins when y'all weren't here, guest a couple of weeks ago we had on the show. He's against flock cameras, but he says we just got to make police get a warrant to access the information. Like the idea of it still being sucked up is great, but if we want to use it against somebody, you're going to have to require a warrant, go through the process. And some people would say, well, that's a good guardrail. I want them all gone, though, because if Edward Snowden taught us anything, it's that this information, we sat here and we watched it being used against a presidential candidate, and these surveillance tools. I want them all gone. I don't think my life, when I signed the back of the driver's license, now if they want to say that, because I know you signed the back of the driver's license, this means that you have to submit to blood alcohol tests, and that sort of thing, or you'll lose your license if you don't. But I'm sorry, signing the back of the driver's license means I'm consenting to have my entire, travel documented and stored forever. This is ridiculous. And I'm sorry. The idea of, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about because we may need to catch somebody. They almost shot and killed somebody I've now seen 2 or 3 where they're scanning the license plate. The cops are being called. They got the wrong guy.
And it's wrong.
They've messed up. Well, so that's just going to cause people to be like, well, we need more guardrails. Make the technology better. I do think to some extent it may be a losing argument if you go into it and say, well, we just need guardrails. I think the position has to be, no, we have to end this. We have to get rid of it. We have to regress. Just like we have to regress with the electronic voting machines in any sane world.
Yeah.
The rise of this technology, we're going to let electronic voting machines pick our leaders. That's insane.
I really like Trump's approach to that is just go back to same-day voting, paper ballots.
Right.
And let's make sure that these elections are secure because we know that they're not.
Yeah.
And even the Democrats know that they're not, but they can't come out and say it.
Yep.
They know that the vaccine was ineffective, but they can't come out and say it.
Right.
They can't say that stuff.
I was thinking the other day though that and there's somebody that even said this that they want to put AI cameras on vehicles. I don't know if they were Uber vehicles or Waymo or something. And this guy in the city planning committee is saying through AI we'll be able to know if somebody has done the right permit. So if they have a dumpster outside their house, we can assume that they are doing a construction project and we can immediately be like, have they gotten the permit yet?
That's exactly what he was saying, yeah.
And I'm just telling you, that's insane. I was thinking the other day, with this technology, eventually, if they want to, they'll be able to ticket anybody that goes over the speed limit. Okay?
Sure.
So, I was in a 35 the other day, and I was like, I'm doing 45. And I thought, well, whatever. A lot of people go 45 in a 35. Technically, if there was a police officer there, he could give me a ticket. With cameras everywhere, they can automatically give me a ticket. And you know what will happen then? If that ever happens, you know what will happen there? what's the point of driving yourself at that point? What is the point of driving yourself?
Yeah.
Well, you drive yourself because sometimes I want to go 82 in a 75 because I'd like to get from here to Little Rock in, an hour, an hour 45.
Only 82?
Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you put cameras everywhere, guess what? It'll be a great way to, well, it's not worth the trouble. I'm going to get ticketed if I go even a mile or two over. I might as well get the self-driving car or go ahead and subscribe to the Waymo service, and they'll just take me wherever I go because they're going to go the speed limit. And if I go over, I get a ticket. It's a way to force us into, I'm going to be extreme here, but a system of slavery. That's what we're building. We are building the technology to enslave ourselves and eliminate our choices.
Yeah, and we already see some of their placements. We talked about it last week on the show where they were putting flock cameras in front of gun ranges.
Yep.
Right? They want to know who has the guns. But even before AI, when Biden was in office, or very early in his term, what were they doing? They were searching people's purchase histories with their Visa card or American Express or whatever it is. Have they bought a Bible? Have they bought ammunition? Have they done, because that person is likely to be an extreme right-winger, okay? We need to have them on some kind of radar. And so you would say, well, that's awful. That's not the police state that we want to live in. But what about when we're in power here? Do you think that our government leaders, even with a Republican after their name, are above spying on its citizens for information? I talked about it last week. There's a reason Vizio or Walmart is selling Vizio TVs, smart TVs, as a loss. There's a reason.
You have to get their service.
I noticed this. My 12-year-old daughter does not have a phone, but if she is sitting next to me in the truck, sometimes I will let her scroll on my phone on YouTube as long as I can see what's on the screen. And she just wants to watch the little shorts, YouTube shorts. What I noticed is she's on this thing for about, 2 minutes. And everything that she was seeing was not stuff that I would scroll through, such as politics or sports or something. She started seeing 12-year-old videos. She would see videos that are just goofy AI stories, where they're, I was so shy, all this stuff. And I just said, holy cow, my phone knows that a 12-year-old girl.
It recognizes a child's face.
It does. It recognized her face, and it is. And I said, well, at least I know that her algorithm is, at least it's going to be geared toward her because they're going to want to keep her on the app. But what is she seeing? And so I make sure that I look over there. I got to watch that.
To your point, Eric, is this a battle we could win? We've already lost, dude.
We've already lost it.
I'm sitting here about words were about to come out of the mouth. The genie is already out of the bottle, and it will not go back in that bottle. We've talked about a movie from back in the mid 90s, Enemy of the State. And that was before, that was what was going on before this stuff.
Yep.
These things were even a part of the conversation. Now, dude, and not to mention you have millions of homes around where people are just barking out orders to Alexa, and Alexa's ordering their food for them and figuring out their grocery lists and putting the music playlist that they want and setting algorithms based on that. Like, all those things are already going on, and it is a train that has left the station. And I don't say that in an effort to be defeatist or like, well, we're done, folks. It's over. Like, we can't limit anything now. It's just like anything goes. But because I think there can be balance, just like there's balance with everything. But we are fighting a losing battle to say that we're going to be able to just stop all of this continued innovation and for the train to go further and further down the track for what it's going to allow us and our society based on convenience and doing favors for us in our lives to make our lives easier and to take less stress and frustration out of our daily routines and the decisions that we make. It'll all just be made for us because we've already set the patterns on Alexa and on our phone and what we're interested in and what we're searching and what makes us laugh and what makes us cry. It's already it's already developed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's already set. So short of going off the grid and starting some commune in somewhere where there's no electric lines,
I'll make the Kool-Aid. I'll be the Kool-Aid man.
No, you'll be the pit master.
I'm the pit master.
We'll shoot our own animals. And
he's been recruiting for this cult this whole show.
Yeah.
He's talking about us meeting up and getting rid of the
there's
cameras.
I'm pretty sure there's an M. Night Shyamalan movie about Paul's perfect world already.
No, seriously, I need to have a conversation with you guys after the show's over.
Okay.
Here we go.
I've got something on my heart.
On your heart. I believe it.
That I need to share with you guys.
I was
We're about to have a blood oath handshake. Paul, Eric, and Rob.
There you go. Well, Carl Benjay in our comments said a few years back, New York State government requested and got a list of vets who had PTSD.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like now our medical records are there. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to watch him constantly and just make sure that, hey, let me check your eyes today. Are you feeling a little homicidal? You're going to go shoot up a place?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, they need to be scanning the trans kids that are going out here and murdering other children.
You're right. Folks, before we go any further, I want to tell you about our sponsor. The Paul Harrell program is powered by the Healing Veterans Project, and I foolishly forgot to even mention that in the last hour, but I want you to know this show wouldn't be possible without the Healing Veterans Project. Go to healingveteransproject.us, scan the QR code, and and you can make a donation. You can make it monthly, you can make it yearly, you could make it quarterly, you could just make it one time, but we're trying to get veterans red light therapy panels that have been prescribed by their doctor. But here's the bigger part. If you are a business owner or you know of a business owner, I want you to email me, Paul at healingveteransproject.us, because we want to partner with them, and we want to give their customers at the point of sale the opportunity to donate $1, $5, $10 to Healing Veterans Project. We have the list of veterans that need this technology. VA won't cover it, though. They'll cover the opioids. They'll cover, everything that's standard in Western medicine, medical industrial complex, but not the red light therapy that works so well, especially if you get the right type of panel. It's healingveteransproject.us, or email me, Paul at healingveteransproject.us. Now it's time for Rob Spencer's favorite segment, which is called Trans Women Are Men. So obviously the low-hanging fruit here is the WNBA. The WNBA is still in the news after not being able to decide last week what a woman is. This is probably a pretty good meme here of Achilles being taken out by just mere kindergarten biology.
Well, it's not even the WNBA exclusively. I mean, we have a Supreme Court justice who refused to, during her confirmation hearings, describe what a woman is.
This is true.
Here's what I'm going to just say this. Biological men, biological women, we all know what the truth is. Ketanji Brown Jackson's sitting there. She knows what the truth is, but she can't say it. You can't say it. You can't speak out. And if you want to say that if we're a cult on the right, we speak out.
Yeah.
We've had disagreements. People have disagreed with Trump about things. We've disagreed with some of the actions. We disagree with the lack of accountability. I could go on and on. Okay? We have these healthy disagreements, but I'm still going to vote for Republicans, most likely. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be an independent that would come, but I'll be danged if I vote for a Democrat. However, the Democrat Party will refuse. Like right now, you're seeing the DSAs. I'm not trying to sidetrack this, but it's all the same mentality. You're seeing these DSA candidates, and there are Democrats that are coming out and refusing to condemn this platform. They have officially put into the DNC's platform. That just happened over the weekend, I believe.
You're right.
They have officially put it in there that they want to abolish ICE. And so you're saying, okay, all the DSA candidates are saying all of this. A lot of you disagree. You're like, hey, we can't, man, look, maybe just some reforms here, but you can't do that. You can't go. You can't speak out because the Democratic Party will ostracize you. And right now, you got a bunch of biological people who are lying. They are absolutely lying through their teeth because they know what a woman is. They know what a man is.
Sure.
Okay? It's ridiculous. And, we're look no further than what we're seeing.
Here's Clay Travis on Shannon Bream's show.
Players, coaches, and owners have all said men identifying as women should be welcomed into the league, which Enes Kanter-Freedom and Royce White are calling out by declaring for the WNBA draft. Shannon, it's the WNBA! The Women's National Basketball Association. All they have to do is adopt the same standards as the Women's Tennis Association, the NCAA, the Olympics, and test one time to prove that it's all women. If it's not the WNBA, then it becomes a unisex league. Here's a fact for you from a pure economic perspective. The G League, which is the minor league of the NBA, the average player makes $45,000 a year. The average WNBA player makes $500,000 a year. There's a lot of people watching us right now that would raise their right hand, Shannon, and say, I identify as a man or a woman. If identifying as a different gender got you 10 times the salary, this is why the WNBA is in crisis. The fact that they can have a meeting with all their league leaders and they can't come up with a basic definition of a woman. Maybe we need to go back to Kindergarten Cop, Shannon, if people remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What a great preface.
Little kindergartners could tell us what
my dad's a gynecologist.
Hold up. Watch this. Did you pull that video that I sent? You got it pulled up there? But look at that. I mean, that's Clay Travis, and he said, he wants to file for an expansion team in Nashville, which is where Clay lives, and he wants to
call
put
them the Balls,
the Nashville Balls, and he wants
and he goes, the logo has two balls in the basket,
and all he wants to have is trans women, which are biological males, as we know. Trans women on his team, like no biological women, don't need them. Just give me these 6'8" former NBA players, and we're going to go win every championship.
I mean, listen, I don't think the WNBA should allow men in the league, but if they do, I will watch. I would watch to see the utter domination.
Yeah,
I mean, I would actually watch. I don't watch the NBA.
I would watch that with glee versus what we saw in the UFC, because that's a biological male beating up on women. I don't like that. But in the WNBA, sure, bring it.
I mean, that's what's hilarious is actually allowing men in the sport would make their ratings go up.
Sure, yeah,
which is hilarious.
It would, and it would be. And that's just unfortunate because, like I said last week, the WNBA has a lot of positive momentum right now. It also has a lot of negative because of going back to they're willingly lying. Yeah. And this right here is playing into that. Ridiculous.
Here is Jim Weed. So you sent me this. I actually haven't seen this. Let's.
I am not a biologist. How can I be expected to define what a woman is? If you think you know how to tell the difference between a man and woman, please speak up.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
So is this a coach? Who is this lady?
I forget. No, that's the commissioner.
She's the commissioner.
This is the commissioner of the WNBA. And she said that? That's not AI or anything. She actually
As far as I know, this is a real clip. I haven't seen anybody that said that this is AI.
She's one of the most weak and feckless leaders in any organization I've ever seen.
She should lose her job for saying that. That's insane.
It's horrible for the NBA because she hasn't addressed the fact that Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark get absolutely beat up every time they get out on the court.
Sure.
She hasn't addressed the issue with the refs. They're absolutely horrible. They don't call anything. This is the WNBA eating their own. They're just destroying themselves. And part of it is that their commissioner is such an absolute moron.
And something, I think a report, I don't know if it's accurate, but that 75% of all WNBA players are lesbians, right? And so they come out. That doesn't matter to me other than to say that's who she's governing, somebody that's more likely to have an ideology.
Women that like other women.
Well,
I mean, that
that want to beat up the white girls like Sophie and
I'm talking
Caitlin.
about the lesbian aspect of it. I mean, these are women that are lesbians. A lot of them, they know what a woman is.
So They do.
I mean,
I smell your sarcasm.
The lesbians in the WNBA know what a woman
good,
is.
Good, I'm laying it on pretty thick.
That is exactly right. And then
on your sarcasm.
And then we get to ask these questions too, like, are y'all if you're a lesbian, do you date a trans woman? And if you do you prefer ones that have not had any kind of surgery or all of that stuff so that they can still do the deed? I mean, you're talking about this slippery slope.
Yeah, that's just heterosexuality with extra steps.
Dude, I saw a couple, and there was an article about it because I think it was in Trump's 1.0 and the military when he was trying to crack down on the trans stuff in the military. It was a trans woman, so man who used to be a woman, was in the military and was married to a trans woman, a woman who used to be a man. It's confusing.
It's I'm confusing it's literally myself. An Abbott and Costello routine.
But regardless,
who's on first?
However they were born, they were identifying as the opposite, and they were married to each other. And I'm like, you're still a heterosexual couple here. But you have gone all about like you're scrambling the eggs for way too long here because what kind of
pun intended? No pun intended. Pun
your
intended.
Your brain's not clicking right on what you're like. I don't know. I don't understand. But again, to Eric's point, when that is your feckless leader that is in charge here, she does not need to be the face of the league. The Caitlin Clarks and the Sophie Cunninghams need to be the face of the league.
So I guess over the last few days, Sophie Cunningham went to a bar after one of her games, and she's like a big star. I mean, they're celebrating her.
That girl is living her best life.
Hear the song they're singing?
What is this?
The Toby Keith song.
Yeah.
Oh, the red, white,
yeah.
The red, white, So
that girl is having fun, man.
So here's the deal.
I like her. She's doing the boot. We'll put a boot in your reel.
Yeah. They don't like. So the WNBA wants her basically out of the league.
Oh, they hate her. Yeah,
and
it was
because she's straight,
right,
and she's not a woke leftist.
Kit Kat Marr in our comments there was like also she was out there celebrating her birthday. She's just
that's
turned
what it was. So it was
just turned 30, and she's just phenomenal. And I think I have a daughter. I've talked about her on this show already today. I would have no problem with her growing up like a Sophie Cunningham. Like if she was good at sports, which my daughter is okay at sports, but she's not going to be in the WNBA, folks. But if she was in the WNBA, would I want her playing against biological men? Hell no. Unless you're playing a game of pickup basketball, that's not where that competition could be. And they fought so hard for Title IX. And Title IX is what ensures protection for women's sports in college athletics. Okay, and it's extended on into these professional leagues, really. And it's just a shame that, again, I know I'm being repetitive, but as the WNBA is rising and increasing in popularity because of Caitlin Clark, folks, you don't have to like it. It was because of Caitlin Clark.
Absolutely.
All of your salaries, all you people, all you women in the WNBA who hate Caitlin Clark, you're sure as hell not giving that check back, are you? Because you were making $70,000 a year before she came in, and now the league minimum is $250,000.
Yeah.
So you're making at least $250,000, and that all happened after Caitlin Clark started filling stadiums.
Yeah.
But they hate her. She's straight, and she's white. They hate her. The WNBA was built on strong black women. That's all they say. You mean the league that's losing money every single solitary year?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a shame. It's on the rise, and it's like any industry that's on its way out, right now. They're eating themselves from inside, and that's what's happening in the WNBA.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, you sent me this clip over the weekend, and I pulled it because it's a good segue for our next segment. But I don't know who this man is. But he makes some good points.
Oh,
this is great.
Has anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers. They were a part of slavery from 1800 to 1860.
He's talking about the Democratic Party.
Part of the Confederacy from 1860 to 1865. The party of Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965. Now they're the party of transgenderism, abortion up to the 9th month, taking your guns away, illegal immigration, open borders, men in women's bathrooms, men in women's locker rooms, men in women's prisons, men in women's shelters, men in women's dorm rooms. They don't know the difference between men and women, right and wrong. They believe they can change the weather. They believe that they are God, and they don't believe that God exists. You can't think of anything that these ignorant jokers won't do. They got people grown up walking around talking about they're furries. You know what a furry is a grown man that think he's an animal. Walk around in a cat costume eating cat litter and urinating in the corner.
Urinating in the corner.
Are you guys furries? Found out my son's going to a furry convention, and I'm absolutely livid because we were supposed to go to this one together.
Degeneracy. Degeneracy.
Dude.
Gross.
I think Rob said it best. Like, play that on a loop. Like
that's what it was
for the next number of months until the midterms. Like,
play it.
You conservatives and Republicans that are frustrated about things, like, this is your alternative because they're lock, stock, and barrel. This is what they all fall in line and believe in and are in the agenda they're pushing.
Yeah.
So you can have you can see all these conservative talking heads having issues with each other, frustrations, whatever arguments about what. That's part of what makes the Republican Party and the conservative movement great, is that we don't all have to agree. Tucker can be mad at Ben, and Ben can be mad at Candace, and Candace can be mad at whoever else. It doesn't matter, because that's part of the conversation that we talk about all the time that makes our movement and our party great. Democrats don't have that. They're all right in line with each other for the most part on insanity. And everything that guy just brought up in that is not stereotypical. It is at the front of everything that they do in their movement now. And it's wild to watch.
Yeah, and I would also just add that I think, when he hits on they want to be their own God, essentially. I mean, that's the spiritual reality here of what we're going on. To your point about the disagreements, it's exhausting, honestly. Sure. And I just think 30,000-foot view here. I don't want to live under these Democrat crazy people.
Yeah.
And I would like to see going forth some common sense actions being taken. But in order to do that, we have to shake the RNC out of their apathy. For example, in our state. And I said this the other day, but here's just a common sense example. Like Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she says the difference is between normal and crazy. She's been saying this for a while now, and she's exactly right. Well, if that's and she's true, why haven't we closed our primaries here in Arkansas? Why are people against that in the establishment that shouldn't be? Why would we allow crazy, if the difference is between normal and crazy, why would we allow crazy people to participate in deciding who the Republican nominee goes? That goes for Arkansas, that goes for South Carolina, that goes for every state that has open primaries. There are these things that could happen that haven't happened, okay? 30,000-foot view, I don't want to live under Democrat rule. When we go to redistrict in South Carolina and that state senator says, well, I don't know. I mean, our country's best when we have a vibrant Democrat party. Not in its modern iteration. No, the only coalition, the only place to debate these issues is within the Republican Party, because the other side is essentially a monolith.
Amen to that.
And we can, to your point, you can see that because they're fine with socialism, because they've always been socialists and we've always known that. So,
well, Yeah, and if we can secure these elections, again, to what you're saying there, if we can secure these elections, and that's just one aspect of it, because let's be honest, what would be the percentage of people in an Arkansas election? We'll go with that. We're a 65-35 state, 60-40 on a bad cycle, so we're mostly Republican. Is someone voting in the Republican primary and then saying, oh, I don't like who won, I'm just going to vote for the Democrat? Because if you are a Republican and you're choosing between two Republicans,
right?
And I don't like
this is true.
If you don't like that Republican candidate, you're probably just going to sit out. You're not going to go cast your vote for a Democrat. Yeah. I think that's a mythical standard. Now, if there ever gets to be a huge independent movement, and we see all of that stuff, Ross Perot again, whatever, we'll cross that bridge. But I believe that sane people, we outnumber the crazies. I believe the sane people outnumber the crazies.
Yeah.
And someone pointed out earlier, just going back to our cat lady Kim 5150, I ordered a Sophie Cunningham T-shirt yesterday, and that's just like she is one of the. Like 80% of all jersey sales are Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham right now in the WNBA. So there are sane people out there. Sophie Cunningham had a shoe release on Adidas. She's got a deal with Adidas, and they put it on there. And I went on there. I was thinking about buying some shoes for my daughter, and I didn't know how much they were or whatever. Sold out in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sold out in 2 hours. The sane people outnumber the crazies. They do. We just have to continue to speak up, and then we've got to take avenues so that these crazy people can't cheat.
That brings us to what will probably be our last segment of the day. It's time for Left Turn at Crazy.
Left turn ahead.
Crazy. That's still my favorite graphic.
I love that one. This one's crazy though. I mean, this one's legit. Like, okay, slow your roll, Thanos. There's some sort of, I don't even know what this is, but it's some sort of roundtable debate among leftists. I know Tim Pool did one. I'm excited to watch Tim Pool's debate with all of these leftists.
Yeah.
But this apparently is just leftists debating leftists, whatever this event was, where this lady says that we should force sterilize all of humanity and just let our race die off. Watch.
My name is Emma Dallenberg, and my claim is everyone should be sterilized and there should be no more future children.
Silencing black voices.
Oh, they're eating their own.
Yes.
How do you think babies get made?
Well, I'm saying, I think that there's a lot of ways to have babies, like adoption is one of them.
They're already made by that point.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is that we need to adopt all the kids that currently exist and then just no more kids so that humanity can just end where it's at.
You want to take this?
Yeah. So what you said earlier just seems kind of like all lives matter-y, you know what I mean?
Which part?
Don't matter, what's going on?
Wait, can you tell me which part was all lives matter?
You're just saying, I feel like, no, not just marginalized people should have babies. No one.
I think what I'm saying is no lives matter.
You know,
is that fine?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. You brought it up.
Confident. Be confident.
Okay, I'm not confident right now.
Okay, that's all right. I'll sit with that.
The passive aggressive nonsense from how it's literally like they're so afraid of being called a racist themselves with the black guy in there. But fundamentally, that is. No lives matter. I mean, we are anti-humanity, anti-God. We should just kill the whole race. Yeah. Which isn't that kind of the goal of communism? Like, that's what ends up happening. It's just everybody dies.
You heard him say to him in response, they're like, that sounds really all lives matter-y. Did you hear that voice from the background? That sounds really all lives matter.
Yeah, she's like, I'm saying no lives matter. Can you imagine having a cup of coffee with a person like that who has that kind of view?
Well, the black guy was like, wait a second. You're talking about marginalized people too? Like, in his world, it's like, no, just sterilize all the white people, let the black people continue to reproduce. I mean, that's what's his argument.
I'm fine if the left wants to get sterilized over there. I'm good with that, especially people that believe that their 3-year-olds are trans. If that's, then don't have babies, if you're going to do that to them. But all I'll say is this. I now feel dumber after watching that.
Yes.
And, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the dullest. But I'll say this. There's not a brain cell to be had in that group from what I saw. It's certainly not from the lady who said she wants all of humanity to end. Okay. Lady, you don't have to be here with us. You don't have to. But forced sterilization so that the human race ends, I've heard some ridiculous things before, but that one takes the cake.
Well, here's something more ridiculous. This is the Michael Shermer show, and they're talking to an abortion doctor. And listen, so just to kind of reiterate how what a death cult the other side is, watch this.
To you from other states now? You're in Colorado.
Yeah. I've had patients coming to me from all over the country since I opened my practice.
Oh.
And that's been especially true since I developed the techniques and instruments and procedures for doing the later abortions, which are much more difficult and take a lot more expertise and experience.
Do you ever get any women in their second half of the second trimester or in the third trimester that say they have no medical problems, they just don't want the baby, they change their mind? Would you do it?
Well, of course, if the woman doesn't want to be pregnant, there's no justification for forcing her to continue the pregnancy.
Okay. Has that happened?
That happens all the time. Of course. I mean, she has potentially fatal illness condition that can kill her.
No, I mean, if she has no medical problems.
The medical problem is that she's pregnant.
Oh, my.
There's
the medical
There's
problem
his rationalization for
that's
barbarism.
That's the slippery slope that this guy's already gone down. He's at the bottom of the hill.
He's fine with it,
because that slope is already, it was so slippery.
Pregnancy is a disease that must be cut out of your body.
He develops instruments like this guy has taken the time to develop instruments to better accomplish this barbaric, evil murder.
This is what the left is trying to tell us, especially what we just saw in Massachusetts last week, that this is not happening. That's what they're saying. No, it's never because the person changes their mind. It's only because if it's medically necessary, there's a diagnosis, the baby is terminal, something like that. Or you could just listen to an abortion doctor saying, yes, I am doing this. The medical problem is that she's pregnant and doesn't want to be pregnant. That's not a medical problem, folks. Right. That's not a medical problem, because if you're talking late term or, second and third trimester, just go get the baby delivered. Give the baby a chance. Give the baby up for adoption. You're talking about a baby that's statistically, with our advances in technology, has a good chance of living. Totally. And you're talking about sadistic man. Listen to him deliver this so coldly. Yep. And this is what we talk about on the right. The left doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, and I would think this guy, the natural result is the product of what we heard earlier. Yeah, just sterilize everybody. Let's end the human race. I mean, it is absolutely disgusting. It's fundamentally such a spiritual problem.
Godless.
That's what this is. I will be my own God. I will disagree with how he made me, or I will disagree whether or not he has the right to make us at all, and let's just genocide everybody and make Thanos look like the reasonable person.
Oh, yeah.
In all of this. That's all the time that we have. Rob, appreciate you being with us, sir, as always.
Glad to be with you. The boss is up next, Jeremy Harrell.
Eric Haynes, man.
Great
Thanks
to
so
be
much.
part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's always great to have you on the program. Yeah, we're going to hand it off to Jeremy Harrell with Live from America. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, Sherrod Chiropractic, and don't forget, HealingVeteransProject.us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.